What up? Welcome to episode 25 of the Dealer Talk podcast. So last year, Erik and I went to a show here in Las Vegas. At that time, it was known as the Rockstar Auto Conference, and we were sincerely blown away. We talked about it after the show, and we knew that we had to have one of the founders on here to talk about the experience and the history behind this amazing show. So today we have one of the founders. We're going to be talking about the history of the Rockstar Events, formerly known as a Rockstar Auto Conference. You definitely want to check out the deal. Not only are we going to be talking about the show and the reasons behind it, but we're also going to be sharing some knowledge about the industry and obviously some takeaways that you can implement at your store to get some extra wins. All right, so without further ado, let's do this. Let's go on to the episode. Let's check it out. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Dealer Talk. So before we get into the conversation of today, let me check in with Erik. Erik, what's going on, dude? How you doing?
Herb, how you doing, man? I'm great. Let's go.
Man, wow. Okay, you're ready. So, dude, very excited for the conversation today. You and I had the opportunity to go to this event in Vegas last year. I really liked the way it was set up. I really liked the energy. And, I'm just happy for the opportunity to be able to talk to one of the co-founders today on the show and kind of shed some light on some of this on the project, right? Because I really liked it. I think they got a very interesting twist to it. What are your thoughts on what we experienced at the Rockstar event last year?
Well, I was blown away. I was so leaning forward, excited about the opportunity because, there's so many connections I met on LinkedIn that I wanted to meet face to face at the event. But walking in, you could tell that it was not the typical event, right? So a lot of high energy. I think energy is the best way to describe it. But it was car guys talking to car guys, which is probably not the most language filled for people who are sensitive to being really, really talked to. But man, just so appreciative of the hard working knowledge that was fed to me. So yeah, I was blown away. Let's get into it. But I think the energy was fantastic. I was blown away by what I was expecting in my head, and it was a great event. And I want to talk about it. So let's just go. Let's go. I think that's
let's roll, man. Yeah. All right. So without further ado, today we're going to talk with one of the co-founders of the Rockstar Event. I just want to make sure for the listeners, because you probably are used to hearing it as Rockstar Auto Conference, but it's Rockstar Events. And without further ado, Matt Koenig, one of the founders. What's going on, Matt? How are you, sir?
What's up, brother? Good to be on the show with you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man, we're super excited. I was talking to Erik before you plugged in, and I was telling him how much I dig the show, man, the event. I really like the setup. So I'm very excited to have the conversation with you. Before we get into it, though, can you give us a little bit of recap on your background, just for the listeners?
Yeah, so I come from 24, it'll be 25 years this summer in the automotive industry. But I'm a guy that started out in automotive retail, was a car sales dude starting out. Managed new and used cars, F&I, and then I was a sales training director for a large auto group where I wrote curriculum for an 8-store group and really taught everybody from the general managers on down. And the whole goal was just to really help everyone be able to serve the customer well. I mean, our automotive group that I used to work for, which is the Harold Ziegler Automotive Group. Now they're a 13-store group. I had the privilege and honor of putting together some really great programs that serve the customer well, and made it an easy thing for everybody to want to be part of. So that was pretty cool. In 2005, I just had this kind of epiphany where, I started burning out. And because there was only so many people in the group to deal with, our turnover was really low. I loved the group, but I started feeling this weird burnout, and I didn't know what it was. And what I realized was I wanted to be able to impact more people. So in 2005, I actually launched my first company, first one in the automotive industry. And I started a sales training company with a good friend of mine. And what we learned quickly was that we both sucked at outside sales. So after 6 months and losing everything we had, I went, oh crap, I got to go back to work for someone. And thankfully, cars.com saw my resume and picked me up. So January of first day of 2006, I went to work for cars.com. For a year and a half, I sold their products, helped them fix a market that was failing for 10 years. And then they moved me into the sales training manager role. So I was teaching their reps, because most of the folks at cars.com had never worked in retail. So I was teaching their reps how to work with dealers, and also flying around the country teaching dealers how to merchandise well, how to do online marketing, because back then it just wasn't a thing. It was a new thing, I should say. Auto Trader had been doing it, but I mean, there wasn't really quote unquote a right way or wrong way established. It was more like, people were still calling online classifieds like the online newspaper in 06, 7, 8. So I get to help dealers kind of do a paradigm shift there and start looking at that as their virtual showroom and building those relationships digitally. After 4 years with cars.com, which by the way, they were such a great company to be part of then, I decided, okay, something's still missing. And so again, I started my own company, and I started the first, and very few people know this, the first video on demand sales training company in the automotive vertical. And I launched that in end of 2009, right before I left cars.com. And
just to kind of clarify there, because it brings up a question for me, but so you were doing video for dealerships at that time?
So yeah, what I did was I actually coded and built out, I learned how to code and build websites. I actually built out an entire platform for online training, for virtual training, before Cardone and Verdi's launched.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got
so
it. Okay.
It was funny because
training by video.
Tracy Myers down at Frank Myers Automax was my first client. And I guess I left out two important things. The first big dealer group I worked for spent a ton of money to have Joe Verdi's people train me how to become a trainer. And then the Harold Ziegler Auto Group paid Grant and his people to teach me how to train Grant Cardone. So I took all the best of Joe Verdi, all the best of Grant Cardone, all the best of Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, and I wrote out a training curriculum for dealers, recorded it all on video, put it on an on-demand platform with testing and everything. Dumped everything I had into this at the end of 2009, beginning of 2010. 30 days later, Grant rolled out his video on demand training on Lightspeed VT, and I knew I couldn't compete with his brand.
Yeah.
So I was like, son of a gun, I love you, Grant, but darn it all. So I folded that up, and then Edmunds.com asked me to work for them. So middle of 2010, I launched the program that you guys now know as like classified listings on Edmunds. I actually launched that for them in 2010. Started it in the Mid-South in Kentucky and Tennessee, and then launched it all over the country. They tried to have Auto Trader launch it, and it failed because Auto Trader way overpriced it, and they just weren't straight up with dealers. And when they asked me to come on board, I said, well, dealers hate you. And I'm a dealer still in my mind, so I hate you. So why would I work for you? And they said, well, we're not going to do confessions of a car salesman and all those negative things. And I went, okay. We wrote an agreement for me to go to work for them. I told them, if they wrote anything like that, I was pulling the parachute. And Edmunds was an awesome company. They did some really great things. And after working with them for a couple of years, I just said, okay, I've come to realize I shouldn't work for someone else. And I left again, and then I started a text marketing company and video SEO companies, which I subsequently sold. Brought some video email through BombBomb to to the auto industry, blew that up quite big. And then in 2016, 2013, we launched the first Spanish websites for car dealers. And then in 2016, my friend and business partner, Chris Spear, and I did the first Rockstar event. It was called the Rockstar Auto Conference. Did it in Kalamazoo, and thankfully, because Cardone is a buddy, he did us a solid. Hopped on his jet on his birthday with Elena and the kids, flew up to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and keynoted the event for us. We were fortunate enough. Gary Vaynerchuk hooked us up with the Ask Gary V show specifically for our event, and that's what brings us to now. There's the background. No college, or I shouldn't say that. Semester of college, failed out of the first 2 dealerships I was in, and
wow, man.
And then here we are.
So, dude, that's awesome, man. Wow, what a background. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you right out of the gate, because it's one of the things that caught my attention immediately when I was at your guys' event, was the one stage platform. Like when you think about these automotive, conferences, it's always like multiple stages, multiple speakers. You guys had it all on one stage, which I really, really liked. I think it just really focuses you on the content and the people that are up there. Is that kind of like the motto? Is that one of the things that differentiates you guys from the rest, or is that something that you see evolving in the future?
So we didn't create that one room deal, but one of the things from I've been a keynote speaker at a lot of conferences, and one of the things that we really wrestled with as we attended events, and this is kind of what birthed Rockstar. When we attended a lot of these conferences, we realized they would have like 100+ speakers. And on the surface, that sounds so cool, right? Because it sounds like it's like, oh, there's so many speakers, 100 speakers. The problem is you can only see 4 or 5 a day anyway. Because, they're 45 minutes to an hour sessions. And then the challenge was when you have to decide who to see, what if they suck? You're missing someone good for something that was well advertised, right? So we said, man, there's got to be a better way. And a couple other people who had done conferences I'd spoken at did the whole one room thing. And we liked that. But the challenge that we had with it was every other one room event. I mean, every other one that we've seen. The speakers on stage were just sponsors. They wrote a check to be a sponsor. And because they wrote a check, they got to be on stage and speak. And Chris and I were like, that's a bullshit model, man. People are selling tickets to people to come get information and education, but it's biased. Like there might be I'll give you an example. CF Search Marketing, a great search company. Okay. They're good people. But let's say, and I'm not knocking anybody else, but I'm just going to throw another name just in case. So let's say Stream, who's also doing search. They're good people too. But let's say CF is better than Stream at what they do. But Stream paid to be a sponsor, so they're up on stage, and the event host is telling everybody that Stream knows more and is better than everyone, and that what they're going to talk to you about is the best thing ever. And then they get on stage, and basically they pitch their product for 45 minutes. And I don't know about you guys, but I get a little bit ticked off if I spend 5, 6, 7. I get pissed off if I spend $20 to watch an infomercial, right? So if I'm paying you $500 or $600, I expect to get great content. I don't expect you to put someone on stage that is only there because they wrote a check. And then the other thing we saw was a lot of these people, they're super intelligent, but they should have never been on stage. So with Rockstar, we've got to do a one-room deal, but we have to make sure every speaker's on point. So like, I'll give you an example. A couple of events ago, May of 2017 event. No, sorry, October of 2017 event we did in Vegas. We made every speaker submit a 30-minute video of them speaking. And we told them, if you don't have one, record a 30-minute session. I don't care if it's you just talking to the camera, but the sessions were an hour. And we were like, if you can't hold a room for 30 minutes, if you can't do a 30-minute session, you don't belong on our stage. And we really set that bar very high. And all of our speakers know, like, we send an email after, which you guys I'm sure saw. We send an email out after our event asking, what people thought of the speakers, who were their favorites. And we take that feedback to heart. If somebody got ranked poorly and people said, man, their session sucked, we don't invite them back. If they get up there and do a sales pitch and that's their presentation, they're not invited back. So the one room deal gave our audience an opportunity to never miss someone, but it also gives us an opportunity to never miss a session so that we can really keep shaping this thing into something life-changing for people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up. It was kind of like the first thing I wanted to talk about because it was just different, dude, and I really digged it. I thought it was a great way to absorb the information.
Thanks. We're glad to hear that. And I will tell you this, for anybody that's been to the last couple that we've done in Las Vegas, one thing that shifted dramatically, and this is why we've done a rebrand for this year, because we think the brand needs to match what we're doing. And so we're contracted to do 2 more of these 2-day events at the D in Las Vegas. But the very first 2 events we did were 1 day. There were 1-day high energy events. One was in Kalamazoo, Michigan. The other one was in Dallas, Texas. But what made them a little bit different, the first one was at an Alamo Drafthouse movie cinema house, right? So it was in a movie theater. And so you got unique seating. We had servers that brought in food. You could have drinks during the day. Like it was a rock and roll environment. The second one was done at the Granada Theater in Dallas, Texas, which is a concert house where Willie Nelson has played, stuff like that. So when we shifted to Vegas, there were benefits, right? It's cheaper to fly into. The hotels are cheaper. There's so much nightlife. But there was a downside, and that is the room feels like a conference. And we never wanted that feeling. And while it's still, good music and high energy, we love the D and they take good care of us, but we decided we hate the room, the setup, the way it was. So you're going to notice a different feel if you got tickets to the May event. If you haven't yet, get them. Right now they're early bird at like $195, and that's going to go up to $395 after February, or either in the middle or end of February. But you're going to notice a change in the layout of the room, the feel of the room, and the setup of the room, because how people learn is different. But to make an event feel Rockstar, it needs to be set that way. The stage that's there with the podium, that you won't see that. Because we want our speakers to be able to move around the room and engage with the attendees. So other than the 2 events in Vegas, though, we're going to be doing them in Austin, Texas. We're going to be doing them down in Tampa, Florida. We're going to be doing them in Kansas City this year. And we're going to be hitting Alamo Draft Houses again. And they're all going to be 1-day events. Because what we feel like is, look, people can get online and watch and they can learn. And if it's the way the Las Vegas event is, right? Being in a conference room set up like that, we had to ask ourselves, what does somebody get in person that they don't get online? And the other thing is, and this is the biggest part, at the upcoming events, we actually created this new thing called Rockstar Roundtables, where you as an attendee are actually going to be able to sit down and pick the brains of these speakers and some of the different sponsors, so that you can really dig in with someone like a Lisa Copeland or a Carrie Wise or a Sean Thomas or a Frank Lopes or whatever, and dig in with them on what they're experts in, and actually sit down and have a 20-minute dialogue, roundtable, mastermind kind of experience. And you can't get that anywhere else. So we're changing the game this year. We rebranded from Rockstar Auto Conference to Rockstar Events because these aren't conferences, they are events. Hell, we're doing our first vendor training in Nashville next month, where we're actually putting on a training to teach vendors how to properly serve dealers. Because we hear a lot of dealers complaining these vendors never worked in the industry. They don't know how to work with dealers. They just come in blowing smoke, thinking their product's perfect for everyone. So we literally said, you know what? That's not true. Your product everybody doesn't need every product you have.
Right.
And myself and Sean Welsh from Car Biz Done Better are doing a 1-day event where it's not just us speaking, but it's role playing and actually teaching them the best ways to serve dealers. So it's going to be pretty crazy, man.
Yeah. The fact that you're having Sean on there as well, as I think that's very, very innovative on your side. It's a great way to think about it, from people who are already in the industry teaching. But listen, I want to ask you a question, because from your experience, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of speakers, what separates the good from great? What's the standout? What's the difference? What's the one 100%.
I'm so glad you said that. I don't know if you saw, like I did a post yesterday on Facebook, so this'll piss some people off. There's a group of folks who I won't name that keep talking about Eric Thomas, the number one motivational speaker in the world, and they hype up having him at their event and all this shit. And I'm like, okay, number one, if you Google search who's the best motivational speaker in the world, what you will find is there are a couple opinions that said Eric Thomas is, maybe a half dozen. But when you look at the numbers, right? Number of followers on social accounts, number of searches done in Google, amount that they charge to speak, the money they've made, you will see that Eric Thomas is great, but he's probably closer to 5, 6, 7, maybe 12 on the list, right? You've got Dave Ramsey is actually number 1, Tony Robbins, number 2. You got a lot of folks out there that blow it away. So the reason I bring that up is because literally the last 12 hours, a lot of friends and I've had this running dialogue. And the reality is everybody's number one to somebody. But here's the thing. At a lot of these conferences become, when it comes to the speakers, it's two things, man. It's a circle jerk or it's a good old boys club. So I'll just tell you right now, there every other conference that I've seen out there that does a one-room event, 75 to 90% of their speakers are sponsors who paid to be on the stage, which doesn't mean that they're all bad speakers, but it means they're not speakers by trade. They haven't spent tens of thousands of dollars learning how to communicate and take people on that emotional journey they need to, so that when they go back, they can make a difference. So what separates the good from great starts with the speaker actually their mission being to change the life of that audience member in a positive way. Okay. So it all begins with what the motivation of that person speaking is. And I'll tell you right now, everybody's applying to speak a digital dealer, whatever. All the other conferences, the reason people are speaking is because they go buy a booth and they hope that if they speak, they can get you to come to the booth and buy their shit. At Rockstar, let me tell you what makes every one of those people great speakers. Lisa Copeland is $10,000 a keynote. Sean Thomas is about $13,000 a keynote. Kendrick, Katie, all of us. Like if I'm a paid speaker and you say, how much is it to come and do this? I'm going to tell you it's 10 grand. Every single one of the people speaking at Rockstar do it for $0 and 0 cents.
Right.
We don't pay them a penny,
right?
Because they genuinely want to change lives and they believe in this movement we're doing.
Right.
So like Lisa, Sean, all of them, they fly there on their own dime. They speak, they pay for their hotel room. It's all, they're literally paying all their own expenses because they go, holy shit, there's actually a movement that cares so much about people. They want to change their lives. I can tell you right now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, every other event, none of those people are, if they're $10,000 keynote speakers, I don't care if they're $2,000 keynote speakers, they're not doing it for free. They're doing it in exchange for something, which means their motivation isn't life-changing. Now, there's nothing wrong with making money. So let me be clear. If you're a speaker and you get paid to speak, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like I got to preface it with that because like I want people to pay me. But here's the thing. What makes a good to great speaker is, would the speaker sit down with you and change your life if they weren't getting paid?
Right.
A lot of them say yes, but ask them to, and then see what happens. We've had people reach out and say, hey, who's in charge of selecting keynotes for Rockstar? And there's Chris and I in a committee of people that we keep secret from everyone. And we say, here's who. Submit your speaker application, submit a video telling us why you want to do it, submit your promo video. We'll look at it. We'll have the committee look at it. And then they're like, okay, my fee is blank. And we've said, yeah, we don't pay speakers. Grant Cardone is a $50,000 keynote speaker. We didn't pay for his jet fuel or anything. Grant came up on his birthday and did it for $0. We didn't pay Gary Vee for the Ask Gary Vee show. We bought a whole bunch of his books to give away, and he did an Ask Gary Vee show for us. So, I mean, there was monetary gain there for him, but trust me, based on what he charges, $50,000 a keynote, we didn't give Gary Vaynerchuk $50,000 worth of reason to record an Ask Gary Vee show for us. So that's the difference. So the difference between good speakers and great speakers, go to every other event this year and then come to a Rockstar event and you'll see the difference. There are other people They market better than us for their event. They hype stuff up. They put on lights and silly shit. But at the end of the day, go watch the people speaking, and what they lack in quality speakers, they make up for in panels of asking dumb questions.
I'm blown. So, I mean, you're talking about intention. The intention is right. I mean, it's a giving heart is really what separates, because the truth is really comes through. Is that what I'm trying to pinpoint it more than anything.
Yeah. I would say it's that. And I say this though, them people getting paid to speak doesn't mean their heart's not good. Like, I'll tell you this, Tony Robbins, in my opinion, is the best communicator in the world.
Right.
He charges $200,000 per keynote. Our goal in 2019 is to be able to book Tony to come to one of our events. Now, that's a $200,000 bill. We know Tony won't go, I love your movement, I'll come do it for free, right? He's on a whole nother level. So he's a guy that will be worth paying. But we know that all you have to do is watch anything he does, and you know he cares genuinely about his audience. So I would say the intention is the differentiator, but there's also another differentiator, and that is their ability to deliver on stage. Because I have a lot of friends who are brilliant and they're great at what they do. And sitting down one-on-one, they can have a great conversation with you, and they can help your dealership or your whatever your business is grow. But they just aren't speakers. And we've had early on, we opened up some opportunity. They did great promo videos. We approved them. Then they got on stage and we were like, wow, but they're not a 45-minute person. That shouldn't have happened. And that's why we went to like a 30-minute video we needed for the next event. But here's the thing that I think makes the difference. We offered to coach and work with and teach those people how to be professional speakers. And the ones that go, yes, help me learn how to frame in a presentation. Those are the ones that you go, okay, now that's a good speaker. And I got to tell you, 9 out of 10 say, sure, that would be great, and do zero follow-up. So what it means is they go, I want to speak so I can get on stage and try and sell my shit. And we learn very quickly who's actually in it to make a difference and who's only in it to make a buck. If you make a difference, you're worth getting paid and making a buck. But if you're only in it to make a buck, chances are you're never going to make a difference.
Yeah, I would have to assume that's right on point. So I want to try and pull it back to the dealership. So for the dealership level, if you're a trainer inside of a dealership, maybe you're a sales manager training your staff, what is your opinion on what should we be doing in order to gain their attention right from get-go? I mean, a lot of guys are going to be there because they have to, right? But how do we authentically really gain their attention? What's the best way to gain their attention? And then also I want to talk about, if you could elaborate on follow-up on the training. I mean, how often should we be following up on what we talked about and train for the day? And look, man, I just want you to go off on me, Matt.
So here's what I think. Number one, I think that the staff in the dealership is who should be doing the training. I learned a long time ago, and this is a lot of Joe Verdi's methods are very dated now as far as his, the way he does the process. So I'm going to start with that. But here's what I'll tell you. What's not dated is the core of what he taught, which is this: the best trainers for salespeople in the dealership are the management in the dealership. The reason training falls apart is dealers want to write a check for somebody to come in and speak to their people because they're too lazy to fix their own problems. But the reason we got problems in the first place is because we don't give a shit about our people. We say we do, but if I were to ask right now, if I said to you, like, okay, how much time do you spend every day with every one of your salespeople? Most every dealer I ask that question to, most every single dealer that I ask that question to and say, okay, how much time do you spend with every person in your sales team? They're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, daily one-on-ones. How much time do you spend actually talking to your salespeople, asking questions, learning what motivates them, and then helping them craft their goals to their motivation, not yours? And the answer is nothing, because they're not doing it. So here's the problem. The problem is we wake up one day and we go, you know what? We've got to get committed to training, which is true. and we want to. So as dealers, we say, we're going to train tomorrow and we're going to begin this. So now we tell our whole team of people, training starts today and we're committed. We're going to train you. We're going to work on the process. We're going to role play. We're going to be great. And the training begins. And you stick to it for a couple of days, but then they get to the desk and you don't do what you were just training them.
Right.
And worse than that,
right,
when they walk out of the room, you don't spend time with them. You don't empower them. Dealers, oh God. And then you'll send them to a training from a third party, but you don't go yourself. Like an owner of a dealership. Okay, if you own a dealership and let's say you're a hands-off owner and you let your GM run it. If you're a GM and you go, okay, we're going to do Grant Cardone training. We're going to do his processes, and that's great, whatever. And you send your sales managers and your salespeople. Fantastic. But you didn't go as a GM. You didn't go. What is wrong with you? Like, how are you going to coach your managers on coaching the salespeople? You can't, because you don't have a freaking clue what the hell they just learned. So there's no way you can coach to that. The other issue that happens is, they'll bring in, and I'm going to name just as many trainers as I know. Okay. And by the way, the trainers aren't bad, but there's a lot of people out there making a living teaching dealers the basics, right? So and they're good human beings, right? You got Grant Cardone, you got John Dawson, you got a bunch of the guys from Sales Hustlers are now all of a sudden becoming, I get a kick out of this. If you're a car salesperson, stop doing freaking live videos every day that are motivational shit. Nobody's looking for motivation from a car salesman. Talk to them about how to do stuff with their car. That'll bring value to your customer. So you got the Sales Hustlers deciding they want to be trained now. You got John Dawson's a sales trainer, good trainer, by the way. You got Grant Cardone's a good trainer. You got Elgona's a good trainer. You got, Sean Bradley. I know his methodology, people say is great. I haven't heard his training, but I've heard his methodology is fantastic. So you got a shitload of people out there teaching processes, but if you peel them all back, they're all the same. It's the basics plus the special sauce they like to weave in. All right. So there's that. So as dealers, you guys are paying these guys thousands of dollars a month to tell your people the same shit you could tell your people. But when I ask dealers why, they say, well, they don't want to hear it. They won't listen from me. Well, shame on you. Do you know why they won't listen from you? Because you don't spend 15 minutes a day sitting down with them, showing them that they matter. So here's what I would say. You want to fix your training problems. You want to stop pissing away 30, 40, 50 grand a year on these outside trainers. Starting Monday, every one of your salespeople, calendar in a time every single day with every single one of them. That's 15 minutes a day. And here's why you do these. They used to be called one-on-ones. You can call them sit-downs. You can call them hangouts. I don't care what you call it. But with every one of your people, 15 minutes a day, same bat time, same bat channel, every day they work. And you talk about three things. Anyone listening to this podcast that's going to listen to it, write this shit down because it's gold. First thing you talk about with them is, what talk to me about yesterday. What was good? What was challenging? Let's go through yesterday, the deals you worked, the people you dealt with. They go over that with you. Okay, talk to me about your game plan today. They go over that with you. The third thing you talk about is this. If you're the manager, the leader, right? What do you need from me to be successful? What TO calls can I make? How can I serve you? As a leader, you're the servant. You're not the boss. Just because you can tell them to broom snow off cars or key up the lot, which, by the way, is bullshit. Stop being cheap. Hire a porter. These are commissioned professionals that you're using for $10 an hour labor. But do the one-on-ones. And this is beneficial to your people because then they see that you care. But it's also beneficial to the leader because guess what you don't have to do? Now you don't have to go, where are we at? What are we working? What deals do we got? Because they tell you during the day. And now you have the time to go deal with your advertising shit. You have the time to do it because you spent quality time each day with your people. But your very first one-on-one with them, block 30 minutes with each of them and sit down and start with an apology for not doing it right in the first place. Sit down and say, I got to tell you this. I know I should have been doing this with you before, and I didn't, and that's me failing you. I don't care if it's a 40-car salesperson or a 5-car one. You need to say the same thing. You owe them an apology. I haven't done what I should with you. I haven't spent time with you every day to help you reach your goals. I've been staring at numbers on the board and trying to magically make this shit happen like Lucky Charms. And guess what? I've been failing you. So first sit down as apology. I'm sorry that I haven't given you the attention you deserve, the respect that you deserve as a sales professional. And that ends right now in this moment. So over the next 30 minutes meeting we got, here's what I would love to do with you. I want to learn what motivates you. I want to know why you show up for work every day. I want to know what goals you have in your personal life, your professional life, because starting today with you, I'm going to help you frame those goals in, figure out how many cars you're going to need to sell to hit those goals so that you can enjoy your job. Because at the end of this year, I want you to be able to say to your friends and family, I'll never work anywhere else because Matt is a dude I never want to not work with. That's what the first meeting should be. Ask questions. Fall in love with your people again. Like, show them they're loved. They're valuable. There's nothing in this world more valuable to you than them. And after you show them that in that first meeting, show it to them every day in one-on-ones. You do that, 90% of your training problem is going to be fixed. And by the way, you have adults working at your dealership. I'm gonna myth bust something here. We always say, well, we got to revisit the basics. No, you don't. You're hiring adults. There's 5 steps in the process. Meet someone, get to know them, show them a product, show them a price, handle their concerns. That's the only steps you've got. So if somebody's too stupid to remember those 5 things, then you made a hiring error. That's it. You don't need to pay any of those sales trainers to come in and go through the basics with your people. If you're going to pay people to do that, just pay me to do it. Because I'll come in and go over the basics, but then I'll sit with your leadership and I'll fucking teach you guys how to never have to pay me to do it again.
Love that.
And you're probably going to have to beep that out. That is, sorry for the F-bomb.
No, dude, that's so powerful. I love that. There's so much there. My gosh, Herb, I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Another thing that I picked up when I was at the event that I thought was innovative. I've never heard of anything like that, and that's the follow up that you guys offer, right? Because typically in these types of deals, you go. If you have great speakers, you're pumped. You get back to the dealership, maybe that'll last 2 or 3 days, and then you just fall back into your old habits, right? Because you don't have anybody there to either hold you accountable or keep you kind of on that path, right? And you guys offered something that was unique where you had a coach, Sean Kelly, right, follow up and do that whole deal. How did that come about? What you guys seen from it? I mean, I really thought that was a different take on an event, right?
Yeah. So it was funny. He actually volunteered, and I got to tell you, for those listening, right, the instant thing, because we're all skeptics, the instant thing is, well, of course, Sean Kelly volunteered to do follow-up coaching because he, is going to go in and basically sales pitch everybody. Anybody who got a follow-up call from Sean, here's the reality. That's from the folks that I spoke to, that wasn't the case at all. He just called it. What was the biggest idea you took away from it? How are you going to implement it? Right? Spend 30 minutes with him on the phone or whatever to go, okay, what's your game plan? And can I help you frame one in? And that follow-up call, and listen, it's not like we do this long-term coaching for free, but Sean makes a follow-up after, or someone on his team, to try and figure out the biggest idea you took away and help you at least lay down one game plan to implement it. That came about literally by Sean volunteering it. We have always talked about how do we build a Rockstar relationship with people, right? Because we don't want to be like a one and done thing. There's great events where we'll go to and we'll learn something. We went and saw Tony Robbins and Richard Branson at this network marketing event called GoPro a couple of years ago. Cool event. After the event was over, there was no follow-up at all, other than emails to sell us tickets to the next event. And we went, well, the event was cool, but man, I know Tony's not going to call us and follow up, but wouldn't it be cool if somebody did? So we decided we're going to make an online platform, right? Educational platform. And so we reached out to all of our speakers and said, do you want to contribute content? Mike Phillips did, one person. And we went, well, that's great, but that's not enough to put a platform together. It just isn't, unfortunately. So we said, well, what we can do is we've got, the online past events. But we were like, you know what? We spent a ton of money putting these events together. These events, and a lot of folks don't realize this, we own other companies that's where we make our living. Rockstar is not losing money, but it is definitely not making enough where Chris and I can live off of Rockstar. Okay. So, and I'm just being very, very straightforward about that, because a lot of folks look at like Digital Dealer that, makes $1.5 million, $3 million an event with 1,200 people there and charging sponsors, anywhere from, upwards of 20, 40, 60 grand for their big old booths. We're not at that level yet financially. So with Rockstar Events, like when we're doing these, we want to get people indoctrinated into the Rockstar culture and build a relationship. So what we did do was we said, let's charge for these events. But then we said, not everybody knows about them yet. So let's just give them away online. So literally right now, if you go to our website, you can register to watch the streaming event that's coming up free. Like $0, 0 cents, 100% free. There's no strings attached. None at all. You can watch it for free. All of our past events, you can watch for free. They're on our website. So the people can experience it. But then we took it to another level, and there's something called the Rockstar Automotive Wolf Pack on Facebook. It's a group. But here's the difference with our group. You can't meme spam it. If you just post a video and you don't describe what people are watching, we'll delete your shit. If you just copy and paste the same stuff you put in other groups, we delete your posts. Every now and then we'll let something slide through. Like Frank Lopes is a friend of ours. He just interviewed Ali Rita. A lot of people don't know this, but the first conference Ali spoke at was Rockstar. Damian Boudreaux was our closing keynote, and he brought Ali. And Chris and I had dinner with Ali and Damian, and we got to know them. Ali did his first Facebook Live with me before they came to Rockstar. So before last May. And a lot of folks don't know that, because we bring a lot of people into the fold, and then other people go try and, capitalize on their names. And it's delightful. Congrats to them. But Frank, Frank's show is free. I high five it. I'm like, all these people are talking about like the number one salesman in the world. I'm like, yeah, we love Ali. He's our friend. He was at Rockstar, was the first event he ever spoke at, and he hates speaking, by the way. So he got up and he was like, I'm so nervous. I hate speaking, just so everyone knows.
He's so genuine, dude. He's so genuine.
Heart of gold, bro.
I worked with Ali back in the day when he first started out, and we've had him on the show too. So I know him really, really well.
Nice. So okay, so like he's a genuine, loving guy, right? So the thing is, like, so in our group, the Rockstar Wolfpack, like you can share stuff that you've shared elsewhere, but here's the thing: a lot of us in the auto industry, we're all in a lot of the same groups, right? So we said with the Wolfpack, we said let's give people a reason to be in this group. Because if people are just sharing the same shit they're putting in Sales Hustlers and Ziegler's Tribe and all these other groups, then there's no reason to be in Rockstar. So a lot of times we delete stuff that's shared in other groups. We're like, don't share it here. Some of these folks are in those groups. They don't need to get 3 notifications a day and pee a lot of groups. So what we encourage people to do in our group is share what's going on in your life, share real stories, share struggles, share ideas, ask people questions. So that's just one more way we're trying to build these long-term relationships with people. And then another thing that we did, which no one has ever done before in this space, is we created Rockstar memberships. So for $39 a month, I think is what we have it priced at. We actually took it off the site, and it's going back up for this year. But for like $39 a month, people can come to as many Rockstar events as they want all year long. So think about like literally, or I guess it's $49 a month because it's $600 a year. So for $600 a year, you can go to every Rockstar event. A ticket to the event is normally $795. So we were like, let's take the Netflix mentality, because $600 is worth it to go to just one event if that's all someone can come to. But if you can pay $50 a month and go to every Rockstar event, guess what you don't have to do? You don't ever have to go to any other events, ever, because we rotate the majority of the speakers out. And if someone comes back again, they have to bring a new topic. This May, we're bringing back Coach Sherry Wynn. She is a 2-time Olympic champion. She's a national championship basketball coach, and she speaks on leadership and things like that. She's like a big keynote speakers like her, like Lisa Copeland. They only have so many keynotes they do. Well, even Lisa, she's doing a different one. Kendrick doing a different one. Katie, like this whole Women Who Rock. Katie, Kendrick, Michelle Denosian from Roadster, Carrie Reese Wise from TrueCar. And by the way, Michelle is a speaker. Carrie is a speaker. And I'm going to put this out there so that people know. We have not yet asked Roadster or TrueCar to sponsor our event. We will ask them. They may or may not, but those ladies are speaking regardless because we pick speakers before sponsors. So if they're a speaker and they could be a sponsor and they have a good company, we'll hit them up to sponsor. But we do it this way so that we can never be accused of that underhanded shit that happens elsewhere. But all of these speakers, everything that you're going to hear at this Rockstar, you've never heard anywhere else before. And it will come here and it will die here. You won't hear these sessions anywhere else. And so by doing this whole membership thing, our mentality is let's build relationships with people. So they go, I'm coming to as many Rockstar events as I can all year. Everyone that's close to me, I'm coming to. I'm at least going to one of the big Vegas events. And you know what? I'm going to be part of the Wolf Pack. I'm going to interact and I'm going to build a lasting, lifelong friendship with other rock stars. And that's really how we believe this life change is going to happen for people. Our goal is not to help you sell more cars. Our goal is not to help you go back to your dealership and be a better car salesman. Our goal is to help you be a better human being, to teach you how to be better, not be better. Our goal is to help you create the life that you want. So the best life for you. We're not trying to go, all right, try and be like Cardone. We're not trying to say we want to help you go from 20 to 40. We're trying to help you go back and learn how to love and serve and be better. We're trying to teach you how to market better, trying to teach you how to communicate better. Because if we can teach you all of those things, then the result is you will sell more cars. You will make more money. When we focus on the why and the how, the result comes. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally, dude. Yeah,
Matt,
yeah, for sure. I really.
I'm sorry to her, just because I don't typically jump in right here because I know we're getting near the end. But brother, thank you so much for being out there. I mean, thank you so much for having your intention be right. I absolutely mean that, man. Keep on keeping on. I just appreciate your message, and that's all I got, Herb.
Right on, man. Yeah. Hey, listen, it's been awesome to have you on the show. I'm glad we could get this deal done. There is one question that I ask everybody that comes on the show, and that question is, where do you see the automotive industry headed in the next 5 years, and why? Oh,
well, this is going to make a lot of salespeople unhappy, but you guys better brace for this storm. Here's the reality: because I truly believe, while I want dealers to be more committed to training their own people, which is going to put a lot of sales trainers out of business, and it should. While I want dealers to be more committed to training their own people, I shouldn't say that. Dealerships should start getting leadership training and then doing the sales training on their own. While I desire to see salespeople getting trained better, and I think they could and still make a good living as commission people, I don't believe that 95% of dealers are going to do it. So I had to share that with you before I tell you what my prediction is for the industry. My predictions are this. In the dealership, you're going to see a lot more blue shirt advisors like Best Buy. And I think that's what should happen, to be honest. I think dealers should, if I'm a dealer today, I don't care if I have 20 salespeople and they're all commissioned. The next one I hire is on a certain salary with a volume incentive bonus, customer satisfaction bonus, and I'm gonna structure it in a way they can make the same as my commission folks, but I'm gonna give them a different program. But what I will also do is offer every one of my commission salespeople the opportunity to move to that program. I would start shifting my dealership away from a commission-based profit mentality, because I can tell you right now, Best Buy, none of their salespeople know the margins on the products they sell, nor do they care, right? So Apple's products, for example, are one price. Best Buy can't negotiate it down for you. And if you're the Apple specialist working at Best Buy, you don't care what the store makes. All you care about is answering all the questions you can and serving the customer in front of you. That's where this industry is going to go. Now, here's the thing. I believe it's going to go there because consumers are going to force it there. That's why it's going to go there, because dealers are doing this price war, I'm a whore mentality with their advertising, and there can only be one lowest price dealer out there in the world, right? So everybody's doing these price wars or whatever, or they're trying to be sneaky and beak whack people for high gross. The reality is dealers will make a shitload more profit if they shift everyone over to not getting paid on the gross and shift them over to a comp plan where they can still make the same earnings, right? Good salary, volume bonus, CSI bonuses, end of year bonuses based on the profit for the entire store, or quarterly bonuses based on store profits, and start teaching your people, we're going to profit better if you guys start serving people better. The industry is going to go a lot more AI for the online experience, and it's going to go the Best Buy, like Blue Shirt Advisor experience in the showroom. I think it's going to take all of 5 years for a lot of folks to do this, but mark my words, every year I would love for you to go back to this podcast and go back to what we're talking about right now, and then make a list of all the people that are basically saying everything that I told you now. And I'll tell you, if you go back to interviews with me from 3 years ago and 5 years ago, I said this then as well. The only difference is I said it would take 10 to 20 years for the industry to evolve, because once consumers get to where they're at now, which is everything being mobile, they need dealership involvement less. That's just fact. I'll tell you, my buddy Andy Buck and I have a product rolling out this first quarter called Dynamic Dealer. And here's literally what it is for dealers. There are window clings that go in the windows of your vehicle, every vehicle on your lot, that have a QR code, but they also have a near field communication chip in them. And it's tied to a communication system. And I'm not going to give you too much info yet because we haven't launched it publicly. But basically, if a customer walks up to a car, they see this cling that says, hey, my name's Shelly, or whatever the avatar's name is. If you want to learn more about this vehicle, either tap your phone on the window or scan this QR code. When they do, it opens up a conversation utilizing Facebook Messenger and gives them a bunch of choices that they can ask about in the vehicle. Even one that says, would you like someone to bring the keys out so you can take this vehicle for a test drive? If it's after hours, our system recognizes that and says, would you like to schedule a time to take this car for a test drive at your convenience? The moment they interact in any way, it notifies the management right then. There's a person on the lot and here's the car they're staring at. Now, here's why we've done this. It's not to replace the salesperson, but wouldn't it be great if you could have a greeter on your lot 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never got sick, never took a smoke break, and never answered a question the wrong way? And wouldn't it be great if that person kept you as the manager in the loop of every step of the conversation they were having with the customer? And that's what Dynamic Dealer does. And here's the cool thing. We created this tool for dealers, and it's literally $1,000 a month. And unlimited during hours, after hours communication and leads. Never miss another opportunity again in the lot, because it's like you've got a greeter standing next to every car waiting to serve the customer. The product is literally done. The only thing we haven't done is finish the marketing to roll it out. So you'll see it roll out this month in January. So I believe artificial intelligence stuff to walk the customer to the point of test drive is going to get increased. I believe sales reps will shift toward being advisors instead of commission-based, hunters. And I think that's what should happen. And I think you're going to see a lot of middle management go away. You're not going to need a new car manager and a used car manager anymore. And then I'll say this is in the next 10 years. You're going to need a used car buyer. You're going to need someone to wholesale cars, that maybe inventory doesn't move. But when you shift to the advisor model, one manager is going to be able to do stuff no matter whether it's new or used. One manager should be able to do that, or you're going to have more team leads instead of these, $300,000 closers that basically go in and beat on someone or ask the questions your commission salesperson wasn't trained to ask. So I think you're going to see a lot of that shifting gears too in the next 5 to 10 years. I got to tell you, I'm excited for when digital retailing comes. Tesla proved it could work. When I bought my last car, even though it was a bad car to buy, I did it all via text. All I did was show up and sign paperwork and go home. And I think our industry needs to catch up to what everybody else is doing outside of automotive. So there's a real long answer, but hopefully one that a couple of years from now, when you guys look back, you'll go, holy shit, he totally said this was going to happen.
Right on, man. So, all right, that's all the time we have for today. It was awesome to have you on, dude. Great conversation. Just one last thing. Could you tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you? And we'll also put that in the notes. So make sure to go to the notes to get some additional information.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. A couple ways. First and foremost, connect with us, go to our events, go to Rockstar Events, that's plural, rockstarevents.info. It's not a .com. rockstarevents.info. That will take you to the site where you can get all the information on the upcoming speakers and the event that's coming up in May. That's always going to be your go-to, but you can also go there and watch all of our previous events, including the very first one with Grant Cardone. If you want to connect with me on Facebook, you can go to facebook.com/real Matt Koenig. So real M-A-T, only one T, the nurse couldn't spell. Real M-A-T-K-O-E-N-I-G. And what I'd really love it if you do, though, is connect with me on Instagram. Same username, Real Matt Koenig. We also have the Rockstar Unplugged podcast. By the way, if you guys aren't familiar, the Rockstar Unplugged podcast is done 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, you name it. The Rockstar Unplugged podcast is out there. Last but not least, join the Rockstar Automotive Wolfpack. We'd love to have you there. If you just want to connect with me because you go, look, I want to learn how to be a speaker. I need a coach. I need someone to teach me how to do that. Just reach out to me on my website, mattkoenig.com, and I'll help you with that. Last but not least, if you guys don't mind, for those of you that are looking for, I know there's a lot of training that doesn't happen. Like, there's not a lot of sales training out there. There's just not, that's good. Or at least the stuff that's out there a lot of times can be cost prohibitive. A lot of folks don't know how to build their own website. If you're a salesperson, you need one. You need to learn how to build a website to create a personal brand. You maybe need to know how to build a sales funnel so that you can capture emails and start building an email list. I created a platform that just went live this year called $1training.com. The number one, the word dollar training.com, $1training.com. You can go there and sign up. The first week's free. After that, it bills you $1 a week. So you'll spend $52 a year for this. And every month, new content comes out, and it's everything from building a personal brand to my course called Sell Anything is on there, which is a 13 video training course. All the videos are like 3 minutes to 10 minutes long. They're you and me looking right at each other, meaning I'm looking into the camera and teaching you, or it's me sharing my screen, showing you step by step how to do things that you can do. And by the way, a lot of it I teach you for free, like how to build a website for free is on there. How to map out sales funnels for free is on there. You'll be seeing a new lesson go up next week. That's how to be able to create your own email marketing campaigns and build your email list for free. How to podcast for free. So $1 a week, and you learn how you can really build your entire business and personal brand. And almost everything I teach you in there costs you nothing for the platforms I teach you on. So $1training.com. Check that out if you want to just do some online learning. But please, oh please, come join us in May at the Rockstar event. And right now, by the way, early bird tickets are $195. The rooms at the D Hotel are like $30 a night. So hook up on it now before this sells out, because this will be a sellout event.
Hey, Matt, can we put a link to that also on the notes for the listeners who want to just go straight to that? Are you cool with that?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So
yeah, please put a link in there, Rockstar Event. .info, and feel free to put a link to $1training.com in there as well.
All right, so everybody that's listening in, just go to the notes. We're gonna take you straight to the event so you can get your tickets, and we're gonna also put all of those links for everything that Matt talked about if you want to check it out, and just go to the notes and you know we'll send you there. All right, guys, thank you so much again for being on, Matt. Great conversation, lots of good stuff here. That's all the time we have for today, and as usual, we'll talk later. So you made it all the way to the end. Thank you so much. Just want to remind everybody to go to the website at dealertalk.biz. Leave us your questions. Give us your feedback. We really appreciate it. And we'll talk later.